stories, headlines and fun, true crime tales and a wild rerun. Bits of news to brighten your day in the latest, wackiest, petty expressway. Scandals, gators, space coast too, crimes that baffle and headlines askew. When the world gets dark, we bring the cheer. Newsy nuggets, the good, the grim, the weird is here.
Hey guys, it's Mo from Mo in the Deep End, and well, 23 really horrifying stories about female red rummers or serial red rummers. Y'all knew I was here and with bells on, or at least a blonde wig on. Yes, Mom, this is how I would look if I kept my natural hair color and wanted to look like Lori Vallow, which, ew. So, redhead it is for life, unless I'm wearing a wig. Sorry about you, Mom. Love you dearly, but I'm gonna stay redhead. Well, let's get into the first one. Number one, Dana Sue Gray, who unalived three elderly women in 1994 in Southern California through violent methods like, well, perforated with a sharp object and a little bit of neck hugging, if you will. Now, she was arrested after one of her intended victims happened to survive and identify her. Ooh, arsenic. As it turns out, her crimes were financially motivated. She red-rummed to take credit cards and valuables to fund her shopping habits. Now, she is currently serving life sentence without possibility of parole at the Central California Women's Facility in Chowchilla. Now, number two, Martha Wise, often referred to as the poison widow of Hardscrabble, was America's first serial red rummer from Ohio who was active in the 1920s. Now, she poisoned 17 of her family members, which resulted in 3 deaths and 14 injuries. Now, her weapon of choice was arsenic, which she administered through water buckets and coffee pots. Well, see, I don't drink water. No, I'm just kidding. I drink water, but I don't drink coffee. And that's why I drink, only diet pop. Saved from arsenic, but not phenolphthalein or sucralose. Now, in March 1925, after confessing to authorities who had become suspicious of her large purchases of arsenic, Martha was arrested and charged with first-degree redrum. She was sentenced to life imprisonment. Now, in 1962, after serving 37 years in prison, Martha had her sentence commuted to second-degree redrum due to her good behavior. However, no family members would take her in, and rest homes refused to accept her. So within 3 days, she returned to the prison where her parole was revoked. Oh, okay, I kind of feel bad for this. Like, she unalived, but nursing homes, it's not like she has access to arsenic unless you have arsenic. And if you're a nursing home, why do you have arsenic? I mean, I got a lot of questions. She passed away in the Ohio Reformatory for Women on June 28th, 1971, at the age of 88. Well, there you go. When she met all of her family members that she poisoned in, well, Now, this absolute thunder cunt, I can say that because I don't care. This video is not getting monetized. Number three is Carla Homolka, a serial red rummer who acted as an accomplice with her husband Paul Bernardo, who was also a serial red rummer and rapist. Now, with the grape and red rum of at least 3 teenagers, including her own sister from 1990 to 1992. Now, this is the sickest thing. She actually drugged and basically left like an offering her sister to her husband. It is the grossest thing I have ever heard. They went to her funeral. I think they alleged that she had passed away from an OD or something. I don't remember the story, but I do remember that she again allowed her husband to predate on her sister. It is so gross. And this woman has now had 3 children. This woman is out of prison and is living her life. Canada, look, I don't want you to become America, but what the hell is wrong with y'all? Just a question. Do you not believe in like a life sentence for this heifer? Because I would think so. Now, according to CBC News, Bernardo was convicted of, in 1995, of kidnapping, assaulting, and murdering Southern Ontario teenagers Kristen French and Leslie Mahaffey. Now, Homolka portrayed herself as the innocent victim of this monstrous monster, her husband, and she struck a deal with prosecutors, later dubbed Deal with the Devil, and pled guilty to, manslaughter in the deaths in exchange for a 12-year prison sentence. But videotapes were found of the crimes, and these were found after the plea bargain that showed her to be an active participant, a highly active participant in these crimes. Police and public were outraged at Homolka's sentence and barely had time to cool by the time of her highly, public release from prison in 2005. And she has gone on to live her life, have children. It is absolutely a spit in the face to the parents of those three girls, including her own parents, that will never see their children go on to get married, have children of their own. It is just sick. Homolka kills me all. She pisses me off, and the whole Canadian justice system sometimes pisses me off. I get it. I get it. Look, there are things that I can poke at the American system that I don't like. But Canada, what is going on? This chick, this crazy chick. So, number 4, Kristen Gilbert, a former nurse that worked at the Veterans Affairs Medical Center in Northampton. This woman is also a mega thunder cunt from the late 80s. Now, she was convicted in the unaliving of at least 4 patients and 2 attempted Redrums of other patients. Over time, her coworkers grew suspicious when they realized the deaths of her patients also coincided with notable shortages of epinephrine. So epinephrine will cause your heart to race, and basically you can go into a heart attack. Your heart just goes, what the hell are what? So yeah, that's what they give you to restart your heart. But the heart is kind of sensitive. It doesn't like to feel all, confabulated. So rumors started going around about her, and Gilbert soon quit. Now, after an investigation and trial, she was convicted of first-degree redrum of 3 veterans and a second-degree murder of a 4th, also an attempted murder of at least 2 more. Now, with this particular woman, I do know that this was, so she was having an affair with a security guard, and because BA rules required a security guard to be at the scene when a code blue was called, she was basically trying to flirt with him as she would be doing chest compressions on these poor veterans that came in. I believe she also called in explosive threats to the VA hospital. This chick is crazy. Look, I want to get into all of these chicks. I want to have a murderous march, or International Women's Day. I want to do a big, thing of all of Red Rum women, but, time and all that jazz. Now, I absolutely despise the ground this particular woman walks on. This woman, this absolute butt monkey from the pits of hell, number 5, Stacey Castor, a convicted Red Rummer from Weedsport, New York, who unalived her husband with antifreeze, then attempted to unalive her daughter with crushed pills mixed into a drink, and was also suspected of unaliving her first husband in the early 2000s. She also did her daughter that she tried to Red Rum. She wanted to pin all of the antifreeze Red Rums on her daughter. So she typed out, a I'm leaving forever note, if you catch my drift, and, attempted to say it was from the daughter. And, I totally didn't poison my husband. It was my daughter. She said it in this here note that I typed on our computer that I totally have access to. So definitely, just an absolute thunder. I need to come up. She is a bitch burrito twat waffle. Although not the combo plate you would want. Now, Castor's case became so widespread in the national news that there was even a special 2-hour edition of ABC's 2020 about it in 2009. Maybe we will review that because I absolutely despise this woman. Again, bad if you try to red run your husband, let alone try to, take the life of your child in order to hide your crimes. That's when we get pissed off. Now, I do remember this particular trial, and I think there are fireworks, so this might be a Petty Express run soon. Because if I can find, a stream of her trial, I believe the prosecutor was an absolute bulldog with her because I think she took the stand, and we need to watch that. Now to 6, Linda Hazard, aka the starvation doctor. Well, she wouldn't have gotten me, ma'am, I like to snack. Who was responsible for at least 15 deaths in the state of Washington in the early 1900s. She looks like she would make you not eat anything. Hazard had no medical degree, but due to a loophole for practicing alternative medicine, she was actually licensed to practice medicine in Washington state. Now, she created a sanitarium called Wilderness Heights in Walla, Washington, where she treated patients via fasting, giving them only small amounts of juices. Although some patients actually survived her care, she was convicted of manslaughter in 1912 and sentenced to between 2 and 20 years in prison. Now, she was released on parole in December 1915 after serving 2 years and received a full pardon the following year. Now, she died in 1938 from starvation while attempting a fasting cure. Well, if it's not the sickness, the cure will get you. What in the name of all that is holy? I mean, look, I get some fasting is okay. Look, we as Americans eat too much, but well, I mean, at least she was practicing what she preached. Amy Archer Gilligan, a serial red rummer who also ran a nursing home, red rummed at least 5 people by poisoning them in Windsor, Connecticut during the early 1900s. According to the New York Times, in 1916, Miss Galligan was arrested. State police, after investigation, concluded that she had shortened the lives of up to 24 or so men by poisoning them with arsenic. One of them was Michael W. Gilligan, her second husband. The arrest of Miss Gilligan and her trial in 1917, after many bodies had been exhumed, rocked the state. Well, I can imagine that exhumation was not a common practice then, and there would have been a lot of social and moral taboos around it. But, I mean, I guess there's a reason we don't have, poisons readily available at the pharmacy anymore. These people had to ruin it for everyone. Sarah Maria Aldrete, aka La Madrina, a convicted serial red rummer who also ran a drug smuggling and human sacrifice cult. Well, I mean, why just be a drug runner when you can have a human sacrifice cult? I mean, honestly, it's like she was manifesting my dreams. I'm just kidding. Obviously, she was manifesting Lori Vallow's dreams. That's the problem. No, never manifest Lori Vallow's dreams. Just don't do it. Don't ever be that one. Don't be the one that's going to manifest Lori Vallow's dreams. We don't need that. No one needs that. So there we go. Let's get back to it. With a man named Adolfo Costanzo in Mexico in the early 1980s. Now, according to the San Francisco Gate, all of their victims except Mark Kilroy, a college student, were from Mexico. They were slaughtered in what police say were satanic rituals involving candles, machetes, and chants. Well, there you go. Beverly Allett, I despise this woman. This woman should never have worked for the NHS. I understand that there was a nursing shortage at the time, but a woman who displayed such behavioral instability and didn't really pass her test, Why was she working with children? Someone explained this to me that it was from the UK, because I don't quite get how you can fail your qualifications and still get a job working with children in, fairly complex medical cases. Number 9 was Beverly Allett, aka the Angel of Death, the original Lucy Letby, if you will, was convicted of unaliving 4 children and attempting to Redrum 3 more, causing grievous bodily harm to at least 6 others at a hospital in Lincolnshire, England between February and April. So just between February to April, you guys think about that. So 4 children, 3 more. That is, 7 plus 6. That's 13, children that she irrevocably changed their lives or took their lives. This is just, and Buzz, your girlfriend, woof. Now, according to Radio Times, Allett is currently serving 3 life sentences at Nottinghamshire-based psychiatric ward Rampton Secure Hospital. Ooh. Well, I mean, she looks nice. Nanny Doss, aka the Giggling Granny and the Lonely Hearts Killer, was responsible for the deaths of at least a dozen people between 1920 and 1950, including 4 husbands, 2 children, and other family members. Well, that's an achievement, I guess. Now, according to the Muskogee Phoenix, she confessed only to unaliving her 4 husbands, but exhumations revealed that she had killed at least 12 family members, which she blamed on a childhood head injury. Journalists called her the Giggling Granny because she laughed whenever she was told how her husbands were dead. Yeah, maybe not the best thing to do if you're trying to, be all innocent and female. 11. Mary Beth Tinning, whose 9 children passed suspiciously under her care in the New York area during the 1970s. Now, it is believed that she poisoned them over a span of several years. This might have been the first sort of court case that dealt with Munchausen by proxy, or at least kind of even started thinking along those lines that a mother or a caregiver would intentionally make their children sick in order to garner attention or feed some missing part in their soul. But before being caught, she managed to convince people that her children had passed of different things like acute meningitis, seizures, cardiac arrest, sudden infant death syndrome, acute pulmonary edema, and bronchial pneumonia. Now, according to the Associated Press, under questioning by the state police in the early 1980s, she admitted to smothering her 9th child, as well as 2 of her sons. Now, prosecutors indicted her for the 3 deaths, with the lone conviction coming from the baby girl's case, Tammy Lynn. Just monster. Like, send all of these people to effing space. I mean, all of them to Mother effing Snake Island.
It's a curse, we got room for the wicked, the cruel, and the worst. If you lie, if you cheat, if your soul's made of bile, you're bound for the fangs and the venom in style. Oh, one-way ticket to Snake Island. Oh, let the contents, less cowards and gaslighters go. No anchor, no lifeboat, no tearful goodbyes. Trust isn't uncommon in cold-blooded skies. Backstab your friend.
I mean, really, just send them all to Snake Island. As far as I'm concerned, I'm kind of okay with it. Number 12. We're getting there. We got 23. This is going to be a long video. Mizuki Ishikawa, aka the Demon Midwife, who was charged with, oh, this is heartbreaking, taking the lives of many infants, possibly even over 100, through purposeful neglect. Now, her crimes were committed with accomplices during the post-1940s World War II Japan. While the story is complicated, her crimes related to poverty struggles people in Japan faced after the war, according to All That's Interesting. When she was finally apprehended, her death toll was so high that to this day she remains the most prolific unaliver in Japanese history and one of the most prolific female serial red rummers in the world. This cunt, this absolute donkey-faced woman. I have heard documentaries where she was attractive at one point, but no, demons are never attractive. See Lori Vallow, Hatchet Face. Once the demonic comes out, it shows on your face. Ask me how I know. Look at Lori Vallow. She used to be semi-attractive-ish, and now she looks like Hatchet Face from Crybaby. But this heifer, this absolute unrelenting, soul of darkness, Rosemary West, a red rummer, serial red rummer from England who unalived and raped and tortured at least 9 women or possibly more. And I am going to say most likely and terrifyingly, sorry, I've got a clumpy here. It's driving me nuts. Don't know how people with long hair deal with it. I'm hoping my hair grows this long, but come on, y'all. It's a pain in the padded behind. Anywho, let's get back to this heifer. I just don't like her so much I had to take a moment. All right, Rosemary West, this heifer. Now, she did this along with her husband, Fred, who also was hit with the ugly stick on every branch down from the ugly tree, and mentally subnormal as well, if I can allege. But he had many head injuries, which people do try to fob off as, oh, well, he would have been a normal person if he didn't have these head injuries. No. Now, granted, both Rosemary and Fred came from the most demonic creating families that have ever existed. But still, there's no excuse. As we always say in the Church of Mo, the number one commandment, other than like don't write down your crime, don't talk about your crime, and don't text your crime unless you're on Signal, is that your BS, whatever happened to you as a little person, whatever, trials, struggles, tribulations you go through, you cannot dump your BS on someone else. So again, don't like her. Really, really don't. Now, according to Sky News, many of the West's victims, who are all young women, were found buried in the cellar or the garden of their home. Now, Fred took his own life and shuffled off the immortal coil all by his own self in 1995, but Rosemary remains in prison in Yorkshire serving a life sentence. Eileen Warnos. I don't know what to say about her other than don't take people's lives even if they're John's. Eileen Warnos, aka the Damsel of Death, a serial red rummer who murdered and robbed at least 6 men, possibly a 7th, while, working the streets in Florida from 1989 to 1990. According to CNN, Warnos initially claimed that she had acted in self-defense. However, Sergeant Bob Kelly of the Volusia County Sheriff's Department, who investigated the case, later said, after she was convicted of the first red rum of Richard Mallory, she then pled guilty to the others, and after a certain point in time, she started to, just recant to say that she wasn't a victim. She simply robbed and unalived those men to gain their personal property and gain their money. Warnos was deleted by the state on October 9th, 2002. Now, I do believe Steve Gosney worked on this case. At least he is very opposed to the death penalty, especially with a flawed justice system that we have right now, taking that ultimate, step. I do believe that Eileen was more pro the penalty and wanted to penalize herself, if I can, YouTube and all the things. I can't always say what I want to say, but basically I think she was one that wanted to shuffle off the immortal coil, and if the state was going to do that, she was okay with it, which I think greatly bothered Steve, and I can understand. Every life is, a life. This unrelenting ray of just pitch black is Belle Guinness, or Gunnis, a Norwegian-American serial red rummer active in Illinois and Indiana from 1884 to 1908, suspected of unaliving up to at least 15 men for insurance. Now, her children passed away in a house fire in 1908. It is unclear if the body of the woman found with them was Belle or another one of her schemes. Now, according to all this interesting, Guinness had a system. After red rumming her two husbands, the Norwegian American would post ads in the paper looking for men to invest in her farm. Fellow Norwegian Americans would flock to her property hoping for a taste of home along with solid business opportunities. She posted ads in lovelorn columns to attract wealthy bachelors. To lure her last victim, Guinness wrote, "My heart beats in wild rapture for you. My Andrew, I love you. Come prepared to stay forever." Well, I mean, I guess it's better than Netflix and chill. You know, something can be said for the letters we used to write, even if they were pre-Redrum. Well, I mean, God, look, perms, y'all, let's keep the 80s where it was. Look, no one looked attractive with perms, okay? From Bette Midler to Sigourney Weaver, just no. Let's keep the perms in the 80s. We're bringing everything else back, but could we leave the perms in the 80s, please? 16, Dorothea Ponte, who ran a boarding house in Sacramento, California, where she red-rummed various elderly people and people with mental disabilities in the 80s. Her total victim count reached 9 confirmed red rums and 6 unconfirmed. Just, yeah, don't trust old women now. Now, she was charged with a total of 9 red rums and convicted in 3 of those. She received 2 life sentences without the possibility of parole and passed away in prison at the Chowchilla Women's Facility on March 27th, 2011 from natural causes. Myra Hindley, this unrelenting cunt. Again, I can sort of get, being attracted to like a weird offbeat guy, but then to go with him, who obsesses about Mr. Hankety Clankety, the struggling Austrian painter from, World War W or WW2, but to then go with him to red rum children, to actively be the person to lure children because you're a young woman, make that make effing sense to me, because I do not get it. Make it. Myra Hindley, who was called the most evil woman in Britain in the press for her involvement in the unaliving of 5 children with her partner Ian Brady, not Bradley, in the 1960s. I have done a lot of this, Children of the Moors. It just absolute heartbreaking to hear the parents talk about, their child being there, and then the absolute hideous things that were done to these children. According to BBC News, Ian Brady and Myra Hindley tortured, raped, and unalived 5 youngsters in 1963 to 1965, burying 4 of them on Saddleworth Moor, an area northwest of England. Elizabeth Bathory, I knew we'd get to her some point. A Hungarian countess who is believed to have tortured and red-rummed hundreds of young women in the 16th and 17th century. Now, the lore is that the countess thought that bathing in her victims' untouched blood would give her eternal youth. Well, I mean, it's that or salmon spunk now, so what are you going to do? I mean, choices. Just kidding. Stick with the salmon, or, just regular moisturizer, whichever you prefer. Now, according to National Geographic, some witnesses estimate that her body count was at more than 600, yet the Countess was never convicted and her husband could not be prosecuted from his grave. Instead, 4 of Bathory's servants were convicted of violence against young women in her castles. The Countess, meanwhile, remained locked in her spacious jail until she died in 1614 at the age of 54. Let's see, Tilly Kemick, now who claimed to have precognitive dreams that predicted her victim's death. Well, I mean, I guess if you put the arsenic in their food and then you're like, they're gonna pass. Still more accurate than Miss Cleo. She believed she's believed to have poisoned and redrummed at least 3 husbands as well as neighborhood children in Chicago during the 1920s, along with an accomplice. According to the Chicago Sun-Times, a March 6, 1923 story read Tilly Klemick and Nellie Stormer Koluk, the so-called arsenic widows of the Polish Quarter, were placed on trial today for the redrum of one of numerous husbands they're alleged to have poisoned. Apparently, the women killed Klemick's second husband for insurance money and later married and poisoned other husbands. Now, while this is somewhat, a joking thing, a lot of women back in that time did not have access to any property. Again, I don't know. You are basically, dependent on your husband or a man for any sort of, security, safety, or financial security. So, and if you got a dud husband, there were not a lot of options. I mean, there weren't shelters, there weren't things like that. So I don't condone poisoning, but I sort of get it, except for the insurance money. But, there you have it. Blanche Taylor Moore, a suspected serial red rummer who is convicted of poisoning her boyfriend, but also believed to be responsible for the death of her first husband, father, and mother-in-law. Again, ladies, perms are a no. Also, like me, this woman hasn't slept in 17 million years. Mine are from children, her are from the guilty, conscience and the angry souls that are keeping her awake. Now, according to CBS 17, as of February 2023, neither her bout with cancer nor the death penalty have claimed her life, making her the oldest woman in the United States on death row. I don't know if that's a flex or you have to stay on death row. Don't know which one's worse. Frances Knorr, aka baby farming murderess, an English woman who moved to Australia and became a baby farmer, is believed to have unalived by strangulation multiple children in the late 1800s. So if women were maybe in a not so good relationship or were not married, they would, send their children to this woman, because they couldn't financially take care of them. This woman was supposed to kind of adopt them out, find them good homes, I think, or for a nominal fee, care for these children while these mothers were unable to. Now, according to the Australian Dictionary of Biography, Knorr was tried and found guilty and ultimately taken to the gallows on January 15th, 1894 for her crimes. Amanda Dreyer, another baby farmer turned serial unaliver in England who adopted then red-rummed many children over a 30-year period in the late 1800s. Now, according to BBC News, recently widowed with a daughter to support, she learned the practice of baby farming from a colleague. In 1869, she began advertising in local papers. Married couple with no family would like to adopt, healthy child, nice country home terms, £10. But instead of providing a safe, loving home, she would instead take the child in for free, then unalive them, either by starving them or drugging them, or, and apparently she was using an opiate-laced cordial known as Mother's Friend. Okay, there were a lot of things bad in 1869, but the fact that they had basically like nature's strongest Dimetap to put their children to sleep and they called it Mother's Friend. The past was the worst, but they also were the worst. but unintentionally hilarious. Now, finally, at the end of this, we come to, well, the last female serial Redrummer. And aren't we glad for that? Because this is a long video. Finally, Joanne Dennehy, who committed crimes, a series of Redrums in Cambridgeshire, England, in March of 2013. All three of her victims were male, and she had killed them all by perforating them with a sharp object. Now, according to The Independent, after unaliving her third victim, she phoned a friend to sing Britney Spears' song, Oops, I Did It Again. Okay, this woman is just cray-cray. She and Taylor Schabusiness should be, friends. They really should be cellmates. Although, could you have that much crazy in one cell room? I mean, I'd place bets on Schabusiness. Schabusiness will go full crazy, where I don't know if Denny will. That being said, I would pay to watch them, duke it out, which is neither here nor there. But there you go. All of the serial Redrummers that were female, and doggone it, I think we can all be happy that we no longer sell, just arsenic in pharmacies. But there you have it. And there are some of the cases that I want to cover, especially if I can find streams of their trials. But there you go. Just thought I'd give you some extra stuff that isn't Karen Reed, but all true crime. Well, as you all know, as I always say, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, but have a sassy mouth and carry a can of bitch fire, because kindness does not equal doormat. That being said, if you want more news stories like this, I do an hour stream, 8 a.m. every weekday, with enough time to get you to the Karen Reed or other trials that you want to start by 9. So it's about an hour. We do true crime headlines and all the absurd that you can find on the interwebs, with me, your sassy host, and side characters, Lord Chippy. So if that's something that you would like to do, no politics, no, Mesopotamia, just the headlines you need to know without all the political spin, because mostly I don't do politics. So there you go. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.